Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Contingency Plan Podcast. My name is Jedi Master David, and with me, as always, is Darth Austin.
Hello, everyone.
Well, we are back for the finale of the Book of Boba Fett. Possibly the last time, the last ride, the last hurrah, the last King Kong, the last Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, the last
The
Jedi.
last samurai.
Yeah, the last samurai. How many other lasts can the last, I don't know, I'm done. So yeah, a lot to talk about, not only with this episode, but with a lot of other news that's kind of dropped here recently. So kind of an exciting time, but I guess before we jump into that, let's just go ahead and get some pleasantries out of the way. So how was your week?
Yeah, I mean, the first couple of days were pretty uneventful. For those of you who don't know, we typically record on drop day for Book of Boba, so we only talk about half the week and the weekend if we had anything fun going on. Today's been kind of crazy. My dog got ran over by a bus. Luckily, she's perfectly fine, no broken bones or anything, and it was just her hind legs. Good breed, I guess, but other than that, I didn't actually think we'd get to record today, but last minute pumped out the episode and hopped on here and can't complain. I guess the week's going better than, it potentially could be going.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's I don't know, man. I mean, you hear about like drunks, that get into accidents and they're perfectly fine because they're limber. I don't know if that transfers.
They don't stiffen up,
Yeah, I don't know how that transfers to animals because I'm not like an animal scientist or a scientist in general. But yeah, it must have had some adrenaline pumping and wasn't rigid or something. But yeah, that's good news. Definitely good news. Hate to hear when anything happens to dogs, you'd have to go all John Wick on the bus driver, and that would be good.
Well, I mean, we definitely wouldn't be recording tonight, and I probably wouldn't warn you that we weren't going to. You'd probably be waiting on me, and, I'd just be in jail.
Oh, geez. Yeah, no, that's good, though. Glad the dog's okay. Yeah, can't stress enough how much pets become part of families, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're talking about huge medical bills and thinking about that kind of stuff. I mean, it's never a matter of, well, I don't want to spend the money because I don't care about it. It's like thinking about a family member, You just wish that you could have insurance on your dog, I guess.
Sure, yeah, for sure, man.
But no, I mean, those moments definitely make you realize how important they are.
Yep. Yeah, no doubt. So not much really went on for my week, really. Just we're doing some half week rotational every week sort of thing back in the office. So that's been interesting. I know a lot of places are kind of starting to do that now. There are countries that are lifting basically all the restrictions, several states that are lifting existing restrictions. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting time, but it was good to interact with people face to face. That's always a good thing. And I know a lot of people like to say they're introverts, and a lot of people are, but there's definitely value to social interaction, at least on a whatever basis you can handle. So
yeah, I would agree. I was actually thinking about that today. I'm kind of glad that everything's getting back to normal. I'm getting ready to go into a field where I would definitely be isolated if everything didn't change. And, starting into that without having any coworkers, it would get pretty lonely quickly. And I would consider myself an introvert, but you got to have some interaction with people or you just kind of go insane.
Yeah, for sure. So, but no, that's pretty much been the week so far. Oh yeah. There we go. Do you want to do news? Or you want to do Boba Fett first?
Yeah, let's go with news. We didn't really go over much of it beforehand, so some of it might be a surprise for me. I haven't really looked this week. What's going on?
Well, I'll say one, and then you can say the other. So one, and it was very minor, but we do have a drop date for the limited original series Obi-Wan Kenobi. So that's going to start streaming on Disney Plus May 25th.
Nice. So I know last episode we kind of touched on the accidental drop of it being in May, but it's good to know that we're definitely getting it.
Yeah, it was just kind of silly. I mean, to draw it out, but it is what it is. I mean, I get it. The networks or studios like to be on their own timetables, so that's exciting. Should be interesting to see what they do for that series. I think that's what we've both been looking forward to. They also, I just remembered, there was also a drop about, I guess they are going to be filming season 2 of Andor, the Cassian Andor series. And we haven't even seen season 1 of Andor.
They're doubling down on that pretty hard. I mean,
yeah,
it's potentially a good sign.
Well, maybe. I mean, I guess let me put it to you this way. If the Book of Boba Fett was just the same as it was like the first 3 episodes, would you have, considered at all thinking about an extension for that series?
No, and I would argue that we've seen enough of Cassian, not that we haven't seen enough of Boba, but do we really need a huge multi-season backstory for him before the climactic finale in Rogue One? I mean,
yeah,
because spoiler alert, he doesn't survive, so there's no other story to tell.
No, you're 100% correct on that. And look, I like Cassian. I'm probably one of the few that actually did care for Cassian, but it seems a little ambitious, perhaps, to say that before we actually drop season 1, we're already filming season 2, and we don't have a drop date. We do know, or at least this is, what it should be. It should be 12 episodes, and it's supposed to premiere this year.
12 episodes is pretty hefty for any Star Wars show. I mean, that's...
Well, nowadays it is.
Yeah, especially after Boba. I don't know. Maybe I'm comparing them too much, but it's weird to me that we can get 2 seasons of Cassian before we've even gotten a review of season 1, but there's no hope for a new Solo, and they are comparable characters, so it's kind of annoying in a way, but hopefully the content is solid, and it's a good series to tie in other characters, so there's a lot of potential there, I guess.
Well, I'll be honest, I'm kind of sick of the character tie-in stuff. I mean, granted, we
got plenty in Boba.
Well, yeah, we've seen a lot in Boba. We've seen a lot more in Mandalorian, and I know that those can be really cool, but sometimes it's also cool to just have a series that can stand on its own,
Yeah, which, I mean, I guess you'd argue at this point it should be Mandalorian based on the fact that he ties into every other show, but we just haven't seen it yet. I would hope that Kenobi would be that series, because I don't see why any tie-in would ever overshadow Kenobi.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So anyway, I guess let's move past Andor. I don't want to talk that to death. That's not the award-winning podcasting we do around here talking about Cassian.
No, it's all about the details that we have on hand, written down, always at all times.
Yeah, I guess so.
I have a poster on my wall behind the computer with all the names that we should know and don't, and it's great.
I think that's a lie. So anyway, yeah, so we got Kenobi, we got, possible season 2 of Andor, so I guess this would just roll into your news because you were talking to me about it.
Yeah, I mean, super minor. I didn't even really watch a whole lot of videos on it, but for fans of Force Unleashed, which I don't know if you were or not, I played it growing up for maybe 2 playthroughs. It was a good game. We're getting a remaster of it for Nintendo, which was announced on Nintendo Direct today. Just randomly was scrolling through YouTube and saw that. I don't really follow Nintendo Direct all that much, but
well, let me put it to you. Let's do a little round robin on this. So, have you seen gameplay of the new Pokemon game?
Arceus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kind of Breath of the Wild Pokemon?
It looks pretty good, in my opinion, from what
I think it looks like crap.
Really?
The textures,
yes,
the ground.
the graphics are bad. The gameplay and the different functions they put in do seem good.
so that's my point. I think that the gameplay seems interesting. It's kind of, like I said, Breath of the Wild meets Pokemon.
Yeah.
The issue is that the Switch, I think, is tapped out. It's probably been tapped out, and my worry is you're gonna and excuse me for the throat clearing and coughing. I have a mild cough, so that's really fun. But think about what people are going to want to see out of a remaster of Unleashed. They're going to want to see
actual
Fallen
remastered graphics.
They're going to want to see Fallen Order.
Yeah. And let me
I don't
tell
think
you,
the Switch can keep up with that.
The graphics are not great from what I saw. It's not true remaster. It's more of just a port, honestly.
And you know what? Nintendo's been doing that crap, because what was Mario 64? Mario 64 was basically just a port. It was like an emulator, and people got really angry because there were better fan-made, up-res remasters of Mario 64.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that they got the GTA trilogy port as well, and a few other things. I enjoy Nintendo games in a very casual way. I don't really play the Switch all that much. I probably haven't touched it in well over 4 months. It's not my console by far. It's my family's console. But, Mario Kart every once in a while, maybe some Smash Brothers, Stardew Valley. If we have no other way to play it, it's great. But, I mean, until they really get this new Switch Pro thing down and figure everything out, I just don't see why I would want to play any game that's available on any other console for the Switch. The control scheme on the Switch is not good. I don't enjoy the letter buttons on Switch have always messed me up. I can't get used to them enough. I'm so used to PlayStation and Xbox. I have to look every time I think about it. Like, where's A? Where's whatever other ones they have? I can't even think of it off the top of my head.
Have you played with the Pro Controller or just the Joy-Cons?
Yes, I did get the Pro Controller, and that makes a big difference. I do enjoy that.
Yeah, I mean, the Switch was a novel thing, kind of like the Wii. It's novel, but they've pushed it, I think, to its extent. And again, because we already know that there's going to be another Fallen Order, which is what everybody wants.
Yeah.
That bad boy is hopefully going to be made for the next gen, the PS5s, the Xbox, whatever the new one is.
Yeah, I don't want to see that on 4 and Xbox One. It needs to be a next gen game with next gen technology and graphics.
I'm sure they'll have one for the PS4 and whatever Xbox. I'm sure they will. Although I thought I heard recently that the last gen Xbox, they're stopping their whatever support of it. Is that a lie?
I haven't heard anything about it. I am on the next gen now, so I don't really follow Xbox One news. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
Because
maybe
really
that's a lie.
I mean, the thing is, these consoles, and not really getting into a subject of video games long term, but I don't feel like there's been a lot of incentive to buy a new console other than just load time and maybe a FPS boost in certain games from the other consoles. There's really no exclusives that I know of.
Yeah.
So it's about time. I mean, they have to do it eventually or they won't sell the consoles anymore.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, anyway, I mean, Force Unleashed, I think that there are a lot of people out there who would like an up-res or a remaster of that game. I don't think Nintendo's the one to do it. I think Nintendo has got to get with the now. They've always been a few steps behind because they release these awesome systems. I mean, like 64, the GameCube for its time was cool. The Wii U was junk, but everybody knew that. And then the Switch was so cool.
Yeah.
But we all kind of knew that there were going to be thresholds that it couldn't go over.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know. I'm not that excited about that, to be
No.
honest with you.
Let me ask you one thing, kind of just last question for this part of the podcast, obviously, then we'll get into the episode. If there was an option when the Switch came out and it was $500, but it had the same processing power, or at least very close to the same processing power and graphical capabilities as the other consoles, would you drop it? Based on the games that are on it now.
No, I'd wait 3 years until it came down, like I always do.
See, that's the only problem with Nintendo is people that buy it don't tend to expect much, nor do they want it. That's always the problem. I mean, I think Nintendo has some of the best games out there, although they get stagnant, but...
Do they, though? Or do they have some of the best characters?
They have... Well, I shouldn't say games as much as series and nostalgia, because we grew up with them.
Sure.
I mean, Mario, Pokemon, Kirby, Zelda, all these characters that we've known since the original Nintendo days, they stick with you, you know. But eventually they have to come out with a console that can actually blow you away with these characters or new IPs, or eventually I think they'll get left in the dust.
Yeah, for sure. Well, anyway, dude, we're not a game podcast, so let's get out of this. Let's get out of this real quick and get to the real meat of the matter.
Hey, this
the
is
thing
still
that everybody's waiting for.
This is the quickest jump into the actual content for a while now. Oh wait, that's 8 minutes because we had to stop.
Yeah, that's right. I was trying to avoid coughing too much in the mic, and then you just had a giant one there just a minute ago.
Well,
good stuff.
It wasn't into the mic. That was into your mic. I just
it's
didn't
totally
mute you.
going to pick up. Anyway. All right. So we are looking at Chapter 7, or otherwise known as In the Name of Honor. This was a big boy episode. This was a full hour episode. And we got old Robert Rodriguez back.
Yeah, I almost text you like, hey, we might have to start 15 minutes later because, you know, we actually got a full episode for once.
Yeah, well, I mean, we had a lot of wrapping up to do.
Yes.
And I think it needed that amount of time to do it. But there again, I mean, you could say that for a lot, where it just needs a time to build. And we don't always get that, which is kind of sad in a way.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely didn't feel like we had a ton of setup for this based on focusing on, you know, side characters and whatnot. But
sure,
I will say the very first 10 minutes of this episode does kind of set up the scene pretty well.
Yep, exactly. And we get to see all of our characters that we've met along the way. Start the episode in the little sanctuary bar that was blown up. Probably confirm that our Twilight friend is definitely dead, and everybody else. It's not like she came back, unfortunately, but she was like right there with the bomb. So
hey, at least we didn't have charred bodies this time.
Oh God. It's just the thing on Tatooine, you know, we just leave him there. That's their monument. It's sick. All right. So we are thinking about taking a stand. Bubba wants to go back to the palace, and the mod kids, the mod squad, the Mighty Morphin Power mod rangers, you know, this is our town. We want to stay here. I know it like the back of me hand. That's terrible accenting. I'd probably get canceled for that.
Yeah. A little
But
offensive.
anyway.
The only thing is about this scene, we start this downward spiral. I guess we've already been there, but this is where Boba just like starts agreeing with everything just to help everybody. Like, okay, I'll follow you just so I don't piss you off because I have like 10 people on my side right now.
Right, and that's the thing. I mean, Mando shows up and does tell him that, you know, Cobb and his buddies, that his little, you know, Freetown friends, which we got that joke again, are going to come
called
and
Freetown
help.
right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, moving on.
Sure, sick. But we kind of have this sort of optimism where it's like, yeah, well, okay, we'll make a stand here. Reinforcements are coming. And then we get more screen time with Cad Bane. And I just want to camp on Cad Bane because, we had talked about it a little bit last week, how everybody was like, kind of riffing on Cad Bane. But, to be honest with you, I don't really dislike the Cad Bane.
I have no really issues with him in this episode whatsoever.
No, he's kind of a scary.
Is this good.
Yeah, he's a scary alien guy. I don't know, but and that went off of like on a ton of memes this week where they were stretching out other characters. It's like if Dooku's face is not 10 miles long, then it can't be Dooku, or if like, oh, this doesn't look like Obi-Wan in real life, it's not Obi. All that good sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think the fandom kind of pushed back on that the right way, I suppose. I don't know. I mean, well, in the right way. No, it never pushes back in the right way, but
just in a toxic way we can agree with.
Well, there was the one guy that I still never like refound, so I can't really credit him, where he had put out a video of him kind of elongating the face a bit, and I thought it looked more like Squidward personally, but that's just me. And I was like, I mean, it's fine, but I actually preferred what they put out in the show. But there were a lot of people that are like, oh, you don't deserve the hate that you're getting. This is awesome. And then other people are like, no, this sucks and you're terrible. But at the end of the day, it was just this person's vision. But I'm perfectly okay with the vision we got in the show.
Yeah.
That's just me, though. But Cad Bane, the interesting thing about Bane in this episode is that we actually get some of the past between Bane and Boba Fett. Yeah. And it's very important towards the end of this episode, and we'll definitely talk about it when we get there. But, Cad Bane in this episode is just not a gunfighter. He's a little bit more nuanced, and I thought that was a good thing to do, personally.
Yeah, and as far as going with an old Western story, I think that you couldn't have picked a better character for it.
Sure.
And I would also argue, just not getting too far ahead of myself, that this episode blends old Western showdowns and gangster violence pretty well.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say about that is I think they tried to put too much in it, because later on we even get kind of like a King Kong type of thing, and even like a Godzilla versus Mothra type of deal.
Yeah.
And it's like, I understand, but it's almost like it became a little too busy for me at times.
Well, it could have been a two-part. Honestly,
well, no,
you could have had a little bit less of one of the aspects thrown in one episode separately.
No, I don't necessarily. Yeah, I mean, I get that. I don't necessarily think about it that way. I'm just trying to say it's like, get some originality. Like, don't because there was a really blatant King Kong thing. It's like, personally, I don't think King Kong was a great movie, and I'm sorry that might upset some people, but I just didn't really. I don't get it. And I don't really get a lot of the monster movies, but I just kind of felt like they were trying to pay too many homages to everything. And it's like, just stick to one or the other, or maybe like a couple of themes and, put your stink on it. Like, who are you as a director? Are you this person and this person? And no, be. And that's probably hypercritical, but it was just something I felt as I was getting further in the episode. So.
Yeah, you do kind of notice that more with the Rodriguez stuff. I mean, it's a little less focused than Dallas, I would argue.
Sure. So anyway, as we move along here, we do get an X-Wing dropping into Tatooine. And I almost lost it a little bit, because I thought, is Luke coming back to kind of help out Mando or something? Maybe Grogu was like, hey, we got to go help, Dad over here. And I almost had, it wasn't a spoiler, but it felt like a spoiler. I saw something on, I don't remember where it was, but it was like something about, Luke drawing a sword and Mando drawing a sword, and it made me feel like we were going to see them fighting together.
Yeah.
Which we didn't get, because it wasn't Luke here. It was just R2 piloting Luke's X-Wing, and out pops Grogu. Grogu made his choice.
Yeah, and I don't want to make myself sound stupid by saying that I feel differently now than what I did on the last episode, but I've thought a lot about it, and honestly, this is the most logical decision Grogu could have made. I expected this going into the episode. I did also expect, like you said, Luke coming in potentially to help or get caught up in the mess at some point. I was kind of surprised when it was just R2 piloting the plane or the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is kind of strange. It's kind of a little bit of a B word move out of Luke. It's like, okay, fine, don't take the saber. Well,
Okay,
go
bye.
back home. Bye. I'm not taking you.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little odd, but
I feel like that was almost a last minute decision based on that, because I don't think that would be the go-to for anybody writing anything about Luke, that you would just have him send a potential Padawan away like that with R2.
well, I think in a way he probably respected Grogu's choice. It's like, okay, fine, you can make that choice,
yeah.
but the consequence is that I'm not going to teach you. You're obviously too connected, and you're going to have to go back. So, I mean, that's fine. That's not a huge deal to me. But yeah, just him like packing him off in a ship. Well, I mean, we trust R2, right? He's never done anything shifty.
And yeah, Grogu is perfectly safe in the harness meant for an adult in that X-Wing, by the way.
Yeah, I guess. So that was interesting, but yeah, we do see the little shirt of mail. So he's back. He's back.
A foundling.
Exactly. So then we have I guess we'll just call this like planning stage, where everybody's kind of split up and they're watching different parts of the area here.
And it really showcases how small his army is.
Oh yeah, 100%. You know, you have the Power Rangers just motoring around, and BK, who Boba is calling Santo or Santo here, which I think is funny, is just chilling out in the open. And yeah, unfortunately, we kind of get, the gangster side of this, where the three families have sided with the Pikes. Mm-hmm. So we get an all-out ambush. I thought it was funny
a little bit of foreshadowing when Fennec's like, well, we agreed with the families that they would stay neutral, right? So we're good, right?
Right.
And we're not going to be snuck up on, right? Oh, look, a droid, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. So Cad Bane comes out to give terms to Boba Fett. And, Boba's
real quick before we jump ahead here. This was one thing I kind of speculated on, didn't really mention in the episode, but last week. But I was kind of thinking that Cad Bane had potentially killed the Tuskens, and we might have talked about it, I can't remember now. I kind of thought that maybe instead of this biker group, that he was the one that assassinated all the Tuskens. And it was interesting to find out that it was just the Pikes. Like, no biker group, yeah. No Cad. Even Cad's surprised at how ruthless the Pikes are, which is kind of laughable when you think about, like, Cad would know what the Pikes are like before agreeing to do a contract with them. But
yeah, for sure.
But it is revealed that the biker gang did not kill the Tuskens. It was all because of the Pikes.
Yeah, and the Pikes were basically killing two birds with one stone, because they were paying money to the bikers, so it gets them out of the way, and it gets the Tuskens out of the way, so they don't attack the spice train.
Yeah.
And there you go. Pretty smart, honestly, on the Pikes' part.
Yeah. We actually, speaking of Spice too, we also get a comment from Finnick on how she kind of doesn't agree with Boba on killing the spice trade through Tatooine in general. Which also goes back to his honor. He makes a comment that it's killing our people, and I want to lead in a different way, which does kind of tie into the gangster vibe that they're throwing off in this episode.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, gangsters would have used the spice, but whatever.
True, but not all.
Yeah,
we can have an honorable one.
No.
They'd get killed at the end, but there can be honorable ones.
There are no honorable gangsters. There's never been an honorable gangster in their entire lives.
CJ's brother in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas wasn't into selling coke, so don't tell me that.
Yeah, he probably murdered 15 people just
Sure,
before that,
he did.
Whatever. So, yes, that is important to point out. But I think this honorable thing, this is where Cad Bane comes in here as a pretty brilliant foil, because he's calling out Boba Fett for his past, basically. Mm-hmm. And there was this quote here: "If that's not the quackta calling the stifling black, or calling the stifling slimy." So the pot calling the kettle black, kind of like a play off of that.
Can kettles and pots just not exist in Star Wars? Would that sound so out of place?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite sure about that one, but I thought that was kind of interesting. But it is Cad Bane understands a lot more about Boba and Boba's past, so that's a big part here. But Cad's really trying to provoke Boba. He wants to get in this fight because he knows that he's better. He knows that he's quicker.
Yeah, even brings up Cobb and everything going on there. You shouldn't have taken his armor away from him, all that.
Yeah. Well, that's actually the funny thing, too, is like Cad might be, just a killer, but the thing is he's also very truthful. He's not hiding what he's done at all. He's not the coward. He's definitely the guy that's going to be like, yeah, I know I'm a bad person. What are you going to do about it, brother?
Yeah, and it also makes him so much more the main villain in this than the Pikes could ever be, that it's almost laughable. I mean, the Pikes are just fodder for when Cad finally comes out at the end of the episode, honestly.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Well, anyway, doesn't really work at this particular point of the episode, but Cad does have backup. Boba's got some backup, and we're kind of at a bit of a standstill at this particular moment. And directly after this is when we start to get where all hell breaks loose. Drash, one of the Mighty Morphin mods, calls Boba, and it's like, there's something not right here. And they're ambushed by one of the groups. And then BK is attacked by the Trandoshans, who came at him with not blasters, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to come at you with knives.
Yeah, BK takes a lot of damage in this episode.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of those things. We were talking about it. Oh, Chewie versus BK. No. Well, clearly Chewie can't stand up to this because BK has been like stabbed and shot so many times in this. They're basically making him completely indestructible.
Which I'm fine with. I did not want him to die in this series.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you there. However, we do get some deaths because our poor Gamorrean guards are pushed off cliff.
Yeah, maybe we'll find some more. You never know.
Maybe, but they're dead. So anyway, some of the mods also die too, but not our main mods, of course.
There's only 2 that anyone cares about, right? Maybe 3?
Well, I mean, there's like the 2 other ones that came up, but you don't really remember.
I said that there's only 2 that the people care about.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it is true. So then we get Fennec kind of going BA here. She saves the mod squad, does some flippy spinny stuff, and she's off on her solo mission, which was kind of disappointing because I think both of us were thinking about, maybe her facing off against Bane.
Yeah, well, it would have been really nice to have a rematch, and I think that, I don't know, I mean, both characters have a lot of history with Bane, so I guess either one's fine, but I just find myself liking Fennec more than Boba. I think I always have.
Yeah, but again, like Boba's the main character, so he's got to take on Cad Bane. We all know that. I mean, spoilers, but anyway, this is all spoilers.
That's okay, because Fennec does get her moment to shine in the end, so it's all right.
Oh, it was pretty sick. So anyway, the Pikes do come in close. They're gonna come gun down our. I mean, not Mandalorians, sort of Mandalorians. One of them's kind of a Mandalorian. The other one's kind of not, but they're both kind of not, but whatever.
But they both kind of kick their collective butts. And also we get some of the best We get some of the best slow motion shots, like Boba just firing his blaster pistol and his knee rocket at the same time, and just demolishing people. And
So just to back up,
sniper.
right? Just to back up, just a small bit. They decide that we're just going to run out. And this is basically like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I'm pretty sure that was the movie that I had saw around there that was possibly, I don't know that I've ever watched that, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
I don't think I have either.
But their idea is just to go out, element of surprise. We're just going to go out and start shooting. And then we have our Twi'lek, what was his title? Major Domo.
Yes, he was Major Domo.
And he's going to negotiate because he was from Coruscant. And he wants to see some places that I don't care about. Sorry, I know that those were supposed to be Easter eggs, but I don't care. And this was hilarious.
It was.
It was honestly, it was one of the funniest things in here when Boba sends our Major Domo out there with a pad and an offer that is basically
nothing.
You get nothing.
Hey, do you want to offer your negotiations first before I tell you that we're going to kill you?
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was so funny. I thought that they were going to shoot him though.
I did too, and I would have been okay with it, honestly.
Well, he's kind of like Boba's Bib Fortuna now, though, when you think about it.
Yeah, a little bit. And he definitely will be now because he has, no other options.
Yeah. But no, I actually wasn't quite sure about this character, but I thought this was pretty well done. It was funny. It was a nice comedic moment. And it was good. But then it was even better when our two, Boba and the Mandalorian just jetpack in and start attacking everybody. This was... it was honestly it was just so good. Although I will say, I don't know exactly what it was, but there were a couple of I don't remember if it was in this battle or throughout. It doesn't really matter, but there were a couple of bolts that were fired that looked like almost a little shaky, like old school, like not polished bolt type of deals, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, you almost wonder if it was intentional.
Maybe, yeah, kind of get a little bit of the old school in there, but yeah, it was good. You mentioned the knee rocket. I know a lot of people really enjoy a knee rocket, I guess.
Of course, I'll take the Mandalorian seeker missiles over a knee rocket any day.
Knee rocket, whatever.
Which, by the way, how is he still getting those made when he's, not following the way anymore? But,
well, he had some. He had some left over, right?
I don't know. I don't remember the season finale from last year that well.
Wow. But yeah, they got to use a lot of their toys here, which is a lot of fun. Wrist rocket, Mando's, little, I can't remember what those things were called, but his little Stinger
seekers.
Missile deals. Yep. And there was one part there where they just ruthlessly shot a falling Pike.
The sniper. Yeah.
He just awesome. They shot him 4 or 5 times. He's dead. There's more people. Stop shooting him.
Well, at that point, I think that was the last one. And they just get swarmed right after that.
Yeah, it really highlights the armor, though, doesn't it? Because they were kind of getting pounded a bit. But
it's kind of laughable to compare their armors, though, because I'm sorry, I'll say it again. Boba's armor is severely underpowered compared to Mando's. Mando's is like tank armor. He is the tank of the group.
I mean, it's bigger. It looks like it offers more coverage. But anyway, they do get the save here from our Freetown folk with their little tank deal, their blaster that totally made the cool blaster sound. So that was neat. We're kind of driving the Pikes back a little bit at this point until we realize that they had other weapons, which I actually did look that up.
Our mechanic called him the Scorpio Max or something like that, I think.
Scorpinek Annihilator Droid.
Which, let's be honest, just a jumbo droidica.
Yeah, essentially. Shielded, too.
Yeah. Very terrifying. If these were not in the Clone Wars, were they? I don't remember them.
Apparently it was in some Legends stuff, I guess.
This would
They
be a
haven't
force.
been in canon.
This would be a force to be reckoned with in Clone Wars. Like, that would have turned the tide,
Oh, yeah.
probably. These things are ridiculous.
Well, I mean, you just need a Rancor.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you need multiple Rancor because we almost lost a Rancor to 2 of them.
I'm gonna be honest. Did you ever think for a second we would get like some of those Gungan energy weapons, the balls?
I don't even want to admit those things exist, honestly.
I mean, I thought about it for a little bit. Like, I don't know, somebody would have a couple or whatever.
It is like the only countermeasure, I guess.
Kind of, aside from a Rancor.
Well, yeah. Yeah,
But
very true.
that's immediately what I thought of just because of episode 1. But
by the way, before our droid thing, just, mentioning epic kills, BK gets probably the most epic kill of the episode where he just throws someone up into the air and blasts him.
Yeah,
sending him flying.
Clearly director favorite character, which I can't. I mean, I'm not mad at it.
Very
It's just,
underutilized for being a favorite, though. I will say that. I mean,
yeah, they give him moments as opposed to continuous action. But I mean, he was shot so many times here
and stabbed so much.
He's got a scalp wound. It was a little ridiculous. I mean, he was shot in the chest.
Yeah. And by the way, not to get too far ahead, but when the Bacta tank was referenced, I totally thought it was for BK because he needed it.
Well, I mean, eventually he does say he owes him a soak in the Bacta tank, or Boba says that. So yeah, we'll get to that. That's kind of the end of the spoilers. So anyway, here, did you enjoy the mod rangers coming in on their Vespas? The one guy face planting.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Poor guy.
Very useful. Very useful.
And they just have these little tiny blasters too.
Yeah, what's going on there? They got like the worst possible weapons.
Whatever. I guess it's all they can afford after their modifications. Kind of like,
I don't see how those modifications helped at all in this battle, but I do love how much the Freetowners talk crap to them. It was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, they both talk crap. We also got to see Boba's pack rocket.
Yeah, unfortunately, not very useful.
Yeah, it didn't do anything. Wasn't a match for the shielding, which is
needed two, and we would have been good.
Maybe, I don't know, but a strong enemy here, very strong enemy.
Yeah.
But I think wasn't that the reason I brought up the Gungan energy balls was I think the whole deal was it was kind of like what is it in Stargate with like the goal. I don't know if you ever watched that show, but they had these personal shields that you couldn't shoot a bullet because it was too fast. But if you threw a knife at it because it was much slower, it could pass through the shield. So like slower moving things could pass through the shielding, but faster moving things could not. And I thought that was kind of the idea behind the Gungan balls was that, they were like slower and energy ball related. I don't know. They're balls.
Yeah, and you really have to question the power of the shield because Boba does actually knock one down with that rocket, but it regenerates very quickly.
That's true. Yeah, true. Mando even tries to flamethrow it, which didn't help at all.
No,
he tries to
really
cut it with
cute.
the Darksaber as well, which to be honest, I kind of wish he would have been able to get the Darksaber through that.
Well, and I feel like instead of slashing at, if he had actually stabbed it and just kind of kept it in place, I feel like that probably would have broken it, or at least given him a path into it.
Although the only thing I'll say to that is maybe he still hasn't like connected with the weapon yet.
Yeah.
So maybe it's something that we'll explore in the next season of Mandalorian where he can actually like wield the weapon for real. Grogu's like, "Hey, I learned to jump, so I'm going to teach you the jump force." I'm not a Jedi, kid. Well, then like just wave it around,
You
but
have
like
the
cooler.
jetpack.
Oh
small
boy.
burst, Dad. Small burst.
So anyway, I will be honest. If the first words from Grogu's mouth are "Dad," I wouldn't be disappointed in that.
I don't even know, thinking about it, if I want Grogu to talk.
I do. I want that little thing to talk.
I kind of want him to talk, but I feel like there's no right answer to how he talks and what he says first.
I want him to talk, man. I want to just like look up at him and be like,
"This is the way." As he's killing someone.
"You make me so proud. This is the way." Look,
I don't want this way for you.
Yeah. So anyway, Boba Fett flies away. We know he goes to get the Rancor. Mando's kind of distracting the droids so people can get away. BK almost gets through one of the shields with his blaster and his gauntlet. Yep, but he's not able to, which was a little disappointing.
And by the way, he's been shot about 20 times and stabbed multiple times at this point. And he's still fighting. So props to the gladiator.
So again, just because this is super relevant, BK's gun or Chewie's bowcaster. Bowcaster. I don't know why I couldn't think of that off the top of my head. There you go. Which one? Bow or a big gun?
They both based on what I've seen so far, I would take the bowcaster. It seems more powerful and so much more satisfying because it's a freaking crossbow. Crossbow.
It's not even that late. I think both of us are just tired.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Okay. So anyway, we also get the mechanic coming through on her
I don't even want to talk about it. Now, just jump ahead to Grogu jumping into Mando's arms and be done with the mechanic.
Yeah, he does a little force jump. It's like,
super
what are you doing here, kid?
Super cute. He's like, oh my God, you're choking me.
My God, where'd you come from?
How'd you learn to jump?
Yeah.
Why didn't you do that when I was walking at 0.2 miles an hour with you for like 3 seasons?
You know, the one thing I'll say as we kind of do a little pause here, I think that Grogu is eventually going to turn Mando away from this cult.
God,
and the reason I say that is because the connection of the two is so strong. There was a part in here where he's like, "Oh, you got the shirt," and he was so proud that he got the shirt and that he took the shirt. He obviously doesn't know about the choice that Grogu was given.
Right.
But he got the shirt and he wanted to come back. So that's super I would say that's super impactful for Mando here. And I don't know, man. I think that family aspect here is going to turn him away from, the supposed way, because it's like, as we've said, this whole thing is kind of a cult. They're not really family. They're just, I don't even know what they are really anymore.
It's a family in a way that cults use family, where it's abusive and very manipulative.
I wouldn't go so far as to say it's abusive, but it's just really hardcore. Like, they're following just this very specific sect that, if you don't follow the rules, you're out. And it's like, well, yeah, but where's the subtlety? Where's the nuance in that? Why can't I blah, blah, blah?
Yeah, I think they're setting up a very good dichotomy with Grogu and Mando, where, think of Vizsla. Yes, we've had a Mandalorian Jedi, but now we have a tag team thing where we have a Mandalorian and a potential Jedi together, and I think we have a cool setup for a common ground to be formed.
Maybe.
And honestly, now just looking back, I feel like it's almost wasted potential with the setup of this new timeline, because you really could have them as the start of this bond, where the Jedi and the Mandalorians are. Yes, James Bond. Where the Jedi and Mandalorians are actually able to put aside their differences in their past and actually, I don't want to say work together because they have different creeds, but actually commingle, where you would see more Mandalorian Jedi and vice versa.
Sounds like you're trying to write a non-canon related book.
Sure, why not?
Clearly, you don't know what the future looks like.
No, I'm just saying, I mean, old canon aside, it would be really cool setup for that.
Yeah, it could be, but I think this kid's going to be a turning point for him eventually. And
for sure.
I'm
not saying I want him to be secretly a Force user or anything like that, but man, Mando is such a blank slate. You could do anything with him. You could make the most epic tale with him. You could turn him into the new non-force sensitive Revan, essentially. You could make him so cool. Not that he isn't already so cool, but...
Yeah, and he's definitely cool, but yeah, there are layers. There are layers I think we could get out of Mando outside of the cult, which is what we had last season. But then all of a sudden, it's like we almost plunge directly back into it.
Yeah, which I mean, they do set it up in a way where he could, you know, he's essentially kicked out with the premise of here's your way back in. So you already have a push in the right direction there, which is good. But
go to some caves.
It's just such a waste of his character to put him in that situation. Hopefully next season fixes it. We'll see.
Well, the only thing that it could make cool is the caves were on Mandalore, right?
Yes.
So he's clearly going to Mandalore. So there's clearly going to be something on Mandalore.
You're potentially going to run into, I don't know the timeline of Mandalorians. I don't know how desolate the planet is, but you could see actual Mandalorians trying to rebuild and show him that that's not really the way. You could run into the...
Bo.
What are the beasts?
Bo-Katan.
What are the beasts?
You mean their little viper droid things?
No, the like Drake beasts that they ride.
Yeah, they were I don't want to talk about that because like I'm not well versed enough in Mandalore. I mean, I know
can't think of the name, but you could run into that, especially after you've kind of seen slight beast riding in this episode, which was kind of pathetic in a way.
Beast riding. Well, no, I mean, I just in Legends they rode like these big like almost like snake droids.
Serpent. Yeah, and apparently that, from what I understand, they aren't actually droids. They're like clad in armor and they look like droids, but they're actual living beasts. I thought they were droids.
Yeah. I'm not well versed enough into that. So those are details that I don't really know. But maybe we'll get into it as we go into Mando. But let's get back into Boba Fett. Under siege, we're making a stand in an archway, which is the strongest archway known to man.
Yeah. I would argue that every freaking house here is extremely strong because they all withstand these blasts from this mega droid.
Yeah, I guess the mega droid. Oh, we could have had a Power Rangers Assemble moment. That would have been sick.
Take all of your little speeders and make a little robot out of it.
What you guys don't know is that our speeders are much more than speeders.
Go, Power Modders.
Yes, it could have been epic, and then it would have just gotten stepped on or something.
No, you know what you should have done? The train from like the second episode. It's surprise, the train is the Megazord.
Please stop. All right, let's move on. I did think it was kind of ridiculous in a way. So we're pinned down, and then Drash and what was that?
Scad
girls. No, the other girl's name from the Joe. They gave her a lame name, but Joe. You know, they go up on the rooftop like they're going to do something, and then
which is nothing. Well, I don't want to say nothing, but as far as dealing with the droid, it's nothing.
Well, they don't really do anything at all.
I love the logic. It's like, quick, if we can go to this vantage point and shoot this droid that has a 360-degree shield from the vantage point, we'll win against it.
Yeah, well, and she got to take the Tusken rifle up there as well, and she gave her a little. You know, what was the gun from Men in Black that Will Smith had to have? Oh, the noisy cricket.
Yeah.
So she handed off the noisy cricket to the Weequay, who gave off his much larger rifle to her so that she could do, and no offense, but she didn't really do anything from the rooftop. I mean, it didn't really do anything at all.
Kept it busy. Even though they were all perfectly fine.
Is that what the kids are calling it?
Because, I mean, they weren't getting killed by the droids, so it didn't really need to be distracted.
Yeah. So anyway, let's click back to Grogu. The mechanic has a weird blunderbuss thing.
You got Flintlock in there, man.
Hey, she's packing
rifle.
heat, dude. She's packing heat. And then Grogu, for some reason, just like he just murders this droid.
Yeah.
He just murders the droid, and everyone goes flying. And it was kind of a funny scene because, like, here goes the mechanic just like dead, right?
Right.
That's like a 10-foot, just broken neck, broken leg, dead. And then Mando saves Grogu, who could clearly
it's pretty
save
awesome.
himself in this particular light.
Yeah,
But
now that he can actually jump.
it's like, oh, thanks, Mando. I appreciate you helping me out. I mean, like, I just like lost 3 teeth right there. You know, my droids didn't do anything either. Oh, but the kid's okay. Cool. So that was kind of funny to me personally.
Yeah. And then we get the hand reveal.
The hand reveal. Yeah, this is where we get the Rancor, Boba Fett's Rancor.
I love it, but I understand why you hate it.
I don't hate it, but this is where we got into this like homage, because like we see these top downs of people like cowering. It's like, oh no, Godzilla!
You wouldn't coward from a Rancor?
Well, not in that ridiculous way that they did in like 1950s Godzilla movies. Oh, he's coming! Help us, Mando! He's going to crush us! With their hands up, like
Well,
you can't see any of this in the audio. You can't hear any of this because we don't do video.
I do hate that all of Boba's team cowers towards the Rancor, but I'm okay with the Pikes being terrified.
Well, and that was the other thing. So Boba's riding the Rancor, and he's doing work. Nobody else does anything. They just watch.
Yeah. All those Pikes that the Rancor had to kill probably could have been cleared out because they're focused on the Rancor.
Or as soon as the Rancor knocks out the shield, I mean, you just start opening fire on the droid.
Yeah. And by the way, how many times did you think that Rancor was dead?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. They seem to have a really hard time with like death unless they're Gamorrean guards.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only death we get in this entire episode. And I will say it does set up use for the Rancor later on, if potentially there's season 2, which I'm okay with. I mean, Rancors are awesome. But it did seem kind of odd with how much, damage they can take realistically.
Exactly. Yeah, but that Rancor should have been dead, like from the first shot.
Yeah, the gut shot should have taken it out.
Coincidentally, though, they definitely did set up the mechanic to lose a tooth because later on she clearly has a lost tooth.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to Mando. He gets in the shield. He's able to do some stabby stabs to this droid. And even with this, man, I mean, the droid is like, they're crazy OP. And then all of a sudden, you just see Grogu.
Not OP enough for Grogu.
Just doing his little cowboy walk. I've been riding a horse for about 100 miles, and my legs are tired.
No hopping here, brother.
I've got one more job to do. One thing I did like here is that Grogu wasn't instantaneously OP, though.
Yeah.
He didn't crush it.
He almost knocks himself out trying to do this. Yeah, and honestly, not that I would have liked it, but I totally expected this droid to just be crumbled into a little ball.
Yeah, and I'm glad they didn't do that because he's obviously still learning, but he is able to
He's remembering, not learning.
I guess. Well, he's able to take a part out of the droid's leg, which makes him fall. So he is able to sort of help. But again, like he's clearly not like ready, or he's not on Luke's level, right?
Yeah.
So he's not there, that's okay. So then the Rancor just takes care of it.
Riffs it in half, baby.
Yeah, Boba gets his little Shao Kahn sort of.
Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it.
Finish him. So that was fun. And then we go off to find the other droid, which is attacking all of our folks. And again, like we're talking about this thing just getting pummeled, the Rancor. Like,
Yeah, it actually gets damaged worse in this scene than the last scene. I don't get it.
yeah, it's a little callous of Boba, isn't it?
A little bit. But then again, what other option do they have, I guess?
I guess. Well, I mean, at this point, the shield's down and nobody's shooting the darn thing.
I almost wonder if they wrote themselves into a corner when they set up this scene. Like, did they really think about the Rancor first, or did they think, it would be awesome? These massive droidicas that just come in and storm the city because the Pikes are freaking babies. They can't handle it. So let's do this. And then someone's like, how are we going to defeat them? They're like, crap.
See, the first one, I'm cool. The Rancor takes care of that. The second one,
It needed to die on the second
if it were
one.
well, not necessarily, but for me, and this is just backseat director, I've been like, yeah, he the assist, like he knocks out the shields, and then everybody just rapid fires, just piles it on like
their
the
little
Last
pistols?
Jedi. Well, I mean, whatever. I mean, they all have guns. I mean, just they just pile it on, and then it just takes it apart or whatever. That would have made a little bit more sense than just watching.
Or just simply have a rocket launcher. Something simple like that.
Yeah,
even.
I guess.
Anything.
But this is totally like Godzilla versus Monster of the Week, and we have like guys doing the fist up in the air. Yeah, you did it.
Or even if you wanted to put
thing.
the spotlight on Boba, save his rocket for this. Have the Rancor
exactly.
knock it out, and then him hop off, and as he's hopping off, he freaking blows him up.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense to me. So anyway, at this point, we turn the tide. The mechanic flirts with the Major Domo,
Which is awesome. I can't wait to see that in season 2.
I guess. And then we get the Rancor eating somebody whole, which is
pretty
throwback. Awesome. And then we have Cad Bane coming out.
Yes, and apparently, clearly, a Rancor is just so terrified by fire that he just goes on a rampage and shuts down.
Well, the whole thing is like, yeah. I mean, afraid of fire. I mean, that can make sense. That's not unimaginable to me. The going off and going nuts. Okay, but we'll get to that. I just Cad Bane here knows how to deal with Rancor.
Yeah.
And this is kind of where we get our face off between Boba and Cad, which went down about as good as you could possibly do it.
No, it was absolutely perfect. There's nothing I would change about it.
Yeah,
The
same here.
dialogue is so good.
Well, Cad again, he's what's the angle? Like, what are you shooting for? What, you're a killer. I'm a killer. We're both killers.
And again, he did, in a way, a very small way, help raise the boy. He really did. And it actually acknowledges how old Cad is, which I'm sure a lot of people didn't think about. I mean, he's getting up there. I don't know his species, what their lifespan is, but I mean, he was in his prime when Boba was a child.
Well, and that was the other thing, too. He's like calling Cad Bane an old man. It's like, bro, you're kind of an old man, too. Like, let's... That's another one of the what was the saying, the something calling the something slimy or whatever, from earlier, the callback.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really as perfect as he can be. Like Boba points out, he has the armor. It's like, you can't beat me. It's like, let's find out.
And as he's ripping his helmet off, it's just so foreboding. I mean, Cad is a force. He's not necessarily everyone's favorite character. I understand that. I always like him personally, but he is a destructive force to deal with. He's probably the most powerful bounty hunter in Star Wars, arguably. Maybe there's like 2 or 3 that could go up against him, but realistically, he is one of the powerhouses.
Yeah, you could debate that a lot, I'm sure, but the thing is that he knows Boba.
Mm-hmm.
He's able to outdraw him. He's able to shoot him. He's able to basically overpower him on the ground, rips off his helmet, shoves his gun under his armor plating, in his gut and basically like, I beat you. You know, it's like what was the quote? It's well, I did like the line talking about, but your father, you've got your father's blood pumping
you're a
through you,
cold-blooded
like
killer.
yeah, just giving that nod to Jango Fett, which
Yeah.
I thought was cool.
That
We
was
didn't get the
awesome.
name, but
And we get the acknowledgement of how I've known you since you were a child,
exactly
right
yeah, I
before
thought
I'm about to end you. And also,
and then he said, "This isn't the first time I beat you out on a job."
Mm-hmm.
So again, like the master kind of here teaching the student.
Yeah.
And then you go ahead, but like the thing is like eventually the student has a new trick. So
yes. And doesn't it just remind you of Solo so much?
Well, I mean, Solo quick drew his teacher and shot him.
Very true, but just the acknowledgement of it, you know.
I mean, Solo wasn't a B word, man. He wasn't Boba Fett. He shot his teacher first.
Yeah,
and
but
Greedo
I mean,
and everyone else.
The speech beforehand, you know, you need to be out here for yourself, not everyone else. You don't need to be trusting people like you are. You're doing this wrong if you're trying to get into this trade, you know.
Sure. No, I'm with you there. And there's always been those kind of parallels between Solo and Boba as well throughout time. So yeah.
And
That's
I
cool.
really, jumping ahead just ever so slightly, didn't realize what was on Boba's back before this fight. And then I went back and that makes sense now. You didn't just pull that out of your butt, you know?
Well, I didn't notice it until this scene started up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, essentially, Cad has Boba dead to rights. He's just got to pull the trigger, and he just kind of hesitates. It was almost like he wasn't going to.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, I'm teaching you a lesson, Boba, like one more lesson. But then Boba flips the script, and he gets out his Tusken weapon here. He's able to disarm Bane. And just brutally murders him in the street. Kind of proves Cad Bane right.
Yeah, it does.
In a
every
way.
I mean, he is his father's child, essentially.
Yep. I mean, you can call it a righteous kill and all, but I mean, still at the end of the day,
Well, I mean, to the
right.
end, he was defending himself. He wasn't going to kill him until he attacked again.
Yep. Pretty brutal, though.
Yeah.
Pretty brutal end for old Cad Bane.
I suppose you could argue, oh, well, there's a chance he survived. That's a huge gaping wound in his gut.
So, yeah, this is the
really
interesting.
surprised if he survives.
This was the interesting thing. So he had the little beepy thing on his chest. And originally I thought of that as like maybe a transmitter or something, like, you know, a droid or like a friend or an ally or something like that. Or, I mean, are you thinking it's like some sort of resuscitation system or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I always assumed it was, in a weird way, an air filter system for a species that maybe breathed a different way.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't really know anything about the species, and you really don't see them other than Cad all that much. So
True.
It's one of those species that probably we should do more research on, but we haven't had enough characters to really bother to.
Yeah, maybe someday. But yeah, there's a possibility that this isn't the end of Cad Bane. So we'll see. He's been a survivor. And then we switch scope to to King Kong.
Just eating a speeder, man. It's nom good.
This
is a stupid scene. I don't
to
like
me, it was
anything about this scene.
unnecessary.
This is a very stupid scene.
It was unnecessary to me. Climbs the tower. He does the roar like King Kong. It's clearly an homage.
Yeah, going to the top and like ripping stuff apart, and Mando trying to fight. There's nothing about this scene that's redeemable to me. I don't enjoy it, and it also annoys me because this scene is essentially the only reason that this episode is longer than any other one.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't serve any purpose to me, other than the tiny acknowledgement of Mando giving Grogu the little ball thing, and Mando like trying to be a beast rider, I guess. Those are the only two things that are acknowledgments that I enjoy.
Right. Well, Mando's obviously not going to be a beast rider because this thing is imprinted on Boba Fett.
Right.
Again, scores the sort of strength of the armor. He gets the top rope elbow. He gets his head gnawed on a bit. Tries to shoot some fire on in his mouth, which doesn't do anything. He just throws him. And then this is where Grogu starts to believe. He tames the beast.
Okay, so I guess I considered this different scene in a way. It was kind of entertaining in a way when Grogu just passes out beside him.
Yeah, snuggles him.
Yeah.
No fear in this little dude.
I guess it almost makes Grogu seem a bit OP because he's showing so much affinity in the Force in every aspect, you know. Beast Mastery is a super rare ability that you don't really see in many characters, and I really don't care much about it. It doesn't excite me in any way. But just the fact that he has that ability on top of everything else that he can do is almost too much.
I think the reason we don't see Beast Mastery very often is because it's lame.
How often is it useful?
Well, it can be. I mean, but the thing is I don't think it would be a hard thing. You just have to connect, and I think the Jedi are so conceited at sometimes that they can't push beyond their own superiority at times in order to actually like connect with something that is lesser.
Yeah.
I think that's the point of people who can master the Beast Mastery is that they're much more just connected to everything. But I don't think it's anything more OP than anything else. I think it just underscores Grogu's kind of like maybe his confidence and his
it's necessity more than anything.
His love.
It's necessity. He's got to protect his daddy, you know. It's
I guess
all a matter of necessity, I guess.
I don't know. I don't think it's that amazing, but I mean, it was fine. It was cool. It was cute at the end. He slays the beast and then snuggles it, and then we get Fennec Shan's epic moment, which I'm trying to think of what this reminds me of, because it totally reminds me of Braveheart. That's what I was thinking about.
Braveheart,
really? Do you remember when they go in and like murder all those noblemen?
Yeah, I guess it is kind of similar in a way. I don't think there's a hanging. Is there a hanging?
I'm gonna look this up because I think that I could be. It's been so long since I watched that, but I feel like there was a scene in there where they just like killed a bunch of noblemen, and like there was one. I could be wrong. I need to watch that movie again. But it was so brutal. It's
almost like Mustafar levels of brutal.
Yeah.
You know? And I love how they kill the mayor. I'm sorry if I sound like a callous jerk right now, but I hate that mayor with a passion from the beginning of this episode, and it was perfect.
Wow, dude. What's wrong?
I love it.
What's wrong with the mayor, huh?
Oh, screw that mayor. He's evil. Just like all the other crime families.
Dude, why are you hating on the mayor? He's just like a mayor, right?
Yeah, he's just a mayor.
Yeah, he was an idiot. He seemed like an old guy trying to I don't know, just trying to do what he thought was best. Like, I don't necessarily see him as evil.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
Well, let me ask you this. As far as the mayor and all the betrayals go with the other crime families, not to say that I don't enjoy this scene or anything like that, but the setup in the beginning. Do you think that it would have been better to have this setup, say, in episode 5 and actually have a little more time vested into into Boba's story instead of just it being all Mando and throwing it in maybe as a foreboding moment at the end of that episode or something where they're all sitting down and discussing how to deal with Boba Fett instead of throwing it all at the end?
Can I stop you for a second? Because I was obsessing so much over that Braveheart scene, I totally wasn't listening to you. So
did you find it?
No, but here was the thing. I do kind of remember what it was now. It was actually in the very beginning when his father was going to a meeting of noblemen and they were all dead. And like, you know, little William sees it all. That's what I was thinking about. Not the exact same now that I think about it, but there were a lot of dead people movies, whatever. Not okay. So sorry.
Good
Ask
enough.
me your really, really super insightful, well thought out question again. And I promise I'll actually think about it this time.
Well, at least the honest and the question will be heard by the audience. I'll give you the best summary possible. Do you think that this betrayal so late in the series was properly set up, or should we have seen it maybe in episode 5 when we kind of diverged away from it being about Boba, and maybe at some point they cut into a gangster style roundtable family meeting of everyone discussing how to deal with Boba? Because I feel like it was such a late betrayal that it didn't really burn in any way. And I had kind of forgotten about the families a bit because it was so early in the series that we had talked to them and, you know, really nothing came of it. And now their betrayal just isn't surprising in any way.
No, I mean, for me, no, not really. I get what you're saying, but like usually the betrayals in gangster movies are, it's the climax. Mm-hmm. It's always the climax when you figure out it was you the whole time.
I guess I just never expected them to side with Boba, so it would have made more sense for them to always be working against him.
Well,
they were
that's
never
the thing.
really set up in a way that I trusted them.
Well, yeah, I never trusted them. I mean, it was stupid to think that they were going to remain neutral at all.
Especially the mayor. The mayor was so obvious.
Not just the mayor, but like the Trandoshans. I mean, the Trandoshans are, I mean, come on, man. So
you don't trust the Trandoshan.
I expected it. It didn't surprise me at all. Do I think it was late? No, not really. I think that the reveal was fine, and I think that their end was hilarious.
It was perfect. And who else could have done it other than Finnick? I'm sorry. No one would have dispensed that type of just humiliating justice like her.
Well, they needed to give her a cool moment because to this point, you know, she shot some people, but they needed to give her just like that OP moment of her own. We focused a lot on how BK cannot be killed, how Boba Fett learned his new trick, how Mando can do Mando things and Grogu can do Grogu things. But like Finnick is as much a main character here as anyone else. And she's a master assassin. How many times have we said that? And now we see exactly how she would have probably assassinated people.
Yeah. And I mean, based on power scaling, you could argue that she's just in line with Boba.
I think she's better than Boba. I think she could kill Boba at any moment.
I would agree with that now that I think about it. I mean, she beat Cad Bane when he was a lot younger and a lot more formidable. So, yeah.
I'm just saying. Yeah. I think she could wipe the floor with a lot of people here.
Finnick is such an underutilized character in this series. She's had some cool moments, but I don't feel like we got as much of her as I wanted. I mean, I feel like we got cooler moments in Mandalorian than we did with her in Boba.
Maybe.
For being the side character of the series.
Yeah. I just think the flashbacks kind of killed it a lot for us. So
it did.
But she got I would call that a sizable moment. So anyway, to start wrapping up the episode, we have the walk through the streets. You know, why did it have to be the right arm? You know, as he's giving salutes and bows and stuff to everybody. He gets a Meiluron fruit.
Yes, the biggest nod ever. And obviously a little nod to a certain character returning.
I thought that Meiluron fruits were like native to like Lothal.
I did too, which is why I think it was a nod in some way. Maybe it's just a desert planet thing. I don't know.
I just thought that was kind of funny. And he gives it to BK, and then we get a little comedy where our mod squad's like, hey.
Why only you, BK? Give me one. I'll rip your arms off.
He gets a melon? No, you don't get a melon. I eat the melons.
I just think it would have been funny if Boba was like, he got shot 30 times. He deserves the melon.
Yeah. Now, there was some interesting dialogue here between Finnick and Boba, because Boba even says, like, this isn't, what was it he said? This isn't like us or something. It's like, if not us, but who, then who type of deal. Mm-hmm. So it kind of does set up some interesting stuff as we get into the sort of postscript scene, which I do want to talk about here in a second. But just to fast forward out here a little bit, we do have Mando and Grogu in our Naboo fighter, and Grogu's being annoying, tapping on the glass like, no.
Why'd I give you that little handle back?
I just thought it was funny when the final one, like he was really going at it, just really rapping on the glass.
I don't know
like,
why I thought for a second he was going to crack it.
He's like, do it now. And then he hits the speed button. It was really funny. It was a good one. I liked it a lot. Now we do get a post-credit scene where we have Cobb Vanth getting droided. He's gonna get modded. He's gonna have some robot parts.
I'm telling you, he needs a robot arm. He got shot in the shoulder, and it just killed all the nerves in his arm, and now he's getting a robot arm.
I know what he needs a robot of. You feel me? You know what robot part he needs? Yeah. Let's not go there. Anyway, yeah, robot arm sounds good.
He needs something. I mean, he's used to having some kind of superpower with the armor. He needs some kind of freaking God mode button.
What if they just do a Wolverine and he's just under his skin is just armor?
So he still feels the pain of being shot through his skin.
He's more machine than man.
And I will tell you, based on just how he looked in this little cutscene, I did have to watch it twice to realize it was Cobb. I was like, who in the heck is this new character that we're introducing with the modder?
You want to know my first thought? I thought it was Cad Bane. I thought Boba was like trying to save Cad Bane initially.
What? He wasn't blue.
No. Just when we
just
first
seeing the bacta tank and everything. Okay.
Yeah, when we first get into the room, not when we get up there. I was just like, oh, he's trying to save like his old. Maybe he's trying to like turn him to the good ways of stuff.
Right.
But no, it's Cobb. Now he's going to be robot guy.
Yeah, and remind me, because it's been a while since I've read the books, and I know you probably haven't for a little while either. What's our timeline with Cobb? I mean, all of Aftermath is before this, correct?
No. I mean, Aftermath was directly after the Empire fell. So this would be
this
after
is what,
Aftermath.
5 years after that?
This is after Aftermath.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Right. So everything at this point is new canon for what Cobb is going to go through. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I remembered Cobb always having the armor in Aftermath.
Right.
So
yeah, he found it. Yep.
Right.
Yep. There we go. So there's the episode.
Yeah. Now we're getting a Cobb series. Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting. Oh, sorry. My thought about that is that maybe Boba's going to turn the planet over to Cobb. Like Cobb's the guy to run the planet the right way.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, Boba is, to a fault, very noble and honorable in this series.
Well, in the series.
in the series. In this nice little vacuum that we're in here with this Disney series, he is an awesome guy. He's super nice. Yeah, sure. Not a cold-blooded killer at all. So I could see that happening. I just... God, we spent so much time on Tatooine. How much more are we going to really spend on what's going on, you know? Do we leave Boba here? Do we leave Cobb here? Do we go back every once in a while with Mando? Because obviously Mando, even though he doesn't necessarily have a reason to be attached to it, he is attached to Tatooine in a pretty deep way. So we could see it again, whatever's going on. I mean, is he just trying to save him to protect Freetown so he can focus on his territory? Is he trying to take over? What's going on? You know, it is a question that I think might never be answered. And if it is, it's going to be a cameo, if nothing else.
Yeah, right. Right. I don't know. I don't know what else is left. I feel like I feel like we're not done with Boba Fett. I mean, obviously, but like in either movie or show form.
Well, at this point, listen. If Mando's in a pinch, he's going to call on Finnick and Boba. There's no question at this point. I mean, they owe him.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking about like another season
Okay.
of the show.
Who's next? You know, who's he going to fight next?
All the Hutts.
The Crimson Dawn Reborn again.
Now Hutta. They're going to go to Now Hutta and destroy the Hutts.
With his Rancor army.
Well, they also have Rancors.
All the Power Rangers are riding Rancors. Yeah.
I think by that point they should have a Megazord. All right. Anyway, let's move on here. Let's get to the end and the ratings and everything. So this episode was not rated as high as the other episodes. 7.8. The episode 6 was a 9.5. Episode 5, 9.4. So 7.8 with about 6,000 votes in at the time of this recording.
You know, I feel as if I've kind of rated myself into a corner here. Because I find myself being very nerdy and giddy about most of this episode. Like, I was super excited about it. I don't think I've been this excited about a show for a long time, honestly. I would argue that I've actually been more excited about what happened here than I did in 2 of the 3 movies in the new trilogy. I don't know why. There's just something about it that really struck me the right way. But it's hard to say it was better than the scenes with Luke in the last episode.
Right.
And I think I gave that a 9, 8.9 or a 9, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So I'm just going to admit the fact that I'm going to mess up my rating system royally here because I'm not going to look back and check what it is. And I don't care enough. So I'm going to
never do.
No, but I'm really not going to care with this one because even though I loved last episode probably more than this one in some ways, I thought that this set up Mando in an amazing way. It cleared up a lot of things and just kind of set us back on the track for just epic exploration and whatnot. And it did finally fix a lot of issues I had with this series, even though I feel like 4 actual episodes for what Boba was going through is just pathetic. I mean, we needed a lot more setup for this epic finale than we got. This needed to be at least 10 episodes to have the Mando episodes in it, in my opinion. But all in all, I enjoyed the majority of this. I can see your point with the Godzilla stuff, with the Rancor and everything, and, you know, the issues there. But I was entertained all the way through, so I think I'm going to give this like a 9.1. It was just a really good episode.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to be quite that generous with it. I thought it was a really good episode. There were a lot of great moments. I think that it sets up Mando pretty good. It gave some epic moments to several characters. But I think that there were certain aspects of the episode that were flubbed. Mm-hmm. The constant Rancor stuff, like we... Mm-hmm. Probably should have tamed that down and let the people get a little bit of a win. The King Kong thing was hokey. The constant, almost overly OP nature of every character, that gets a little old. In the last episode, or the episode before, episode 5, we see Mando actually score his own leg with Darksaber. In this one, BK gets shot 15 times and stabbed and scalped, and yet he's still fine. Like, you have to have some realism at some points. I understand space opera, Star Wars. We get it. But for me, it didn't live up as well to the last couple episodes. I think Bryce Dallas Howard is a better director. I think Dave Filoni is a better director. I think that they understand the source material. But Robert Rodriguez has done some good stuff here. It was a good season finale. Not the best, but it was a good season finale. I like what they did. It was very thought-provoking. It was interesting. It sets up more stuff. And I really like the stuff with Cad Bane. I think they did a great job with that character. So, but yeah, I can't go 9s. I just didn't feel that way. I was probably more in the range of like an 8.4.
Okay.
I think something 8.4, 8.5. I'd be pretty happy with that score. Good episode, solid episode. Not the best, though.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I would say that our biggest point of contention is probably the Rancor scenes. I was always kind of more into the monster movies growing up, King Kong, Mothra, Godzilla, all that. I did find a lot of joy in that growing up. So I would say that's probably the split.
It's not that I can't find joy in it. I just find it hokey when they do that hands over the head. Oh, don't crush me, Godzilla.
Yeah.
That sort of crappy stuff. That belongs in those movies because that was the era.
Well, and I will be honest, maybe I need to rewatch it. I guess I didn't really notice that. I guess I just was more focused on the droid in those
There were like
scenes.
3 merchants who did it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I guess I just didn't see it.
The fact that you had this entire pseudo army of people that when the droid's armor goes down, nobody does a single thing. They just let the Rancor do everything.
That's an issue.
Kind of meh, you know. And the King Kong deal, it just didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
I know that'll do it for a lot of people. Didn't do it for me. Is what it is.
And it definitely wasn't the way that I necessarily wanted to see the Rancor be used. I think it would have been really cool if the mayor was fed to the Rancor, period. Just personally, you know, at the end.
That would have been a little bit evil, though.
Yeah. Boba Fett definitely is not a cold-blooded killer. I will say one thing. I think this is going to be a very small minority, but to anyone who is a Mandalorian fan who did not try Boba Fett, I feel really bad for those people because season 3 of Mando is going to probably be very confusing to you. And I will say that to some extent as a fan, you need to do your due diligence and make sure that you're enjoying all of the media of Mandalorian in order. Do a simple Google search. You'll find Mandalorian in this, but it's just such a huge character arc for him. You know, a lot of development. I mean, it completely undoes everything from the season 2 finale, essentially.
Yeah, but you realize that we could have had the last like 3 or 4 episodes as a mini movie. Well, that's all you need. Or a full movie. You wouldn't need the first. You wouldn't need the setup in most instances.
Yeah.
You wouldn't need all that setup. It was just table dressing that felt unnecessary.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, you would indeed have to watch this to not be confused by what's coming out in the next Mandalorian season for sure.
And I certainly think there's enough time that any true fan is going to figure that out for themselves and, you know, get caught up before Mandalorian comes out. And if you don't, I'm not saying you're not doing your job as a fan. I mean, you don't have any job to do as a fan, but I really hope you catch it because it'll be very jarring if you don't.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, dude, what else we got to talk about?
Yeah. I really have nothing to speculate on what's going to happen with the Boba. I mean, there's some interesting stuff with Cobb Vanth and, you know, potentially the aspect of BK just being a part of Boba's crew for a while and what that means in the Afra series. But I don't know. It's all speculation that I just can't even really wrap my head around right now.
In the what series?
You know we're going to get Afra. Come on. You know we're getting Afra. You can't introduce BK without Afra.
Hey, don't zero this out, dude. Don't zero this episode. All right? Don't zero this. We don't need the clickbait.
Yeah, it's okay. As long as you don't add a little, you know, title and you know, give yourself a little Afra thumbnail or whatever, we're good.
Boba Fett
review of the season finale of Book of Boba Fett, and it's a picture of Afra.
Well, no, yeah, Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 7, Afra confirmed.
And you know
Kathleen Kennedy's fired, you know, that's another one.
You know you'd have to find the 3 most distinct versions of Afra from the comics and make them into their own characters in the thumbnail, fighting each other or something.
That's a whole different.
It's like all the different Spider-Mans from the Spider-Verse, you know?
Yeah, the very inconsistent animation. So anyway, folks, I think that's going to be about it for today, but hopefully you guys have enjoyed the ride. We are actually very behind on a lot of things.
Yeah, we are drowning.
Well, we have mainline High Republic comics. We have the Trail of Shadows comics. We've got 3. There was another High Republic book drop. I think Friday is actually when this newest book, Daniel Jose Older book, I think, comes out. So we've got 3 books. We've got Thrawn,
which is essentially 2 books.
Wow, it's
content-wise.
Yeah. So we've got a lot to get to, and we'll try and figure that out. But that's the end of the show reactions. So hopefully you guys have liked them, and we'd love to hear your sort of, what do you think? What do you think about the series? What do you think about aspects of the show? What were your ratings? What did you think about the finale? We might eventually do like a season 1 entire retrospective, maybe someday down the line, like we normally do, just to sort of see how we feel about it. But hopefully you guys have been enjoying these talks. We enjoy talking about them. So if you do want to interact with the show, you can always find us on Twitter at TC Plan Podcast, Facebook, or just send us an email to tcplanpodcast@gmail.com. And we'll answer any questions you've got, as long as they're not not too weird. We might answer weird questions, but anyway, yeah, I think as we wrap up here, just appreciate you guys listening. You all have a good rest of your week,
and as always, may the Force be with you.